able to see me throughout this video trying specific shades from each palette on each eye to let you know how they compare. Woo. Actually more comparable than I thought. In the pan they don't look that similar. This is Meeks. Woo-hoo. To my channel. Today I am going to be doing an in-depth video for you because so many of you have been asking me since we got this little baby from Boxycharm, do I think it's a dupe for the Jaclyn Hill palette? And I have done investigative, in-depth research for you. I am wearing 2 different eyes of makeup, believe it or not, to let you guys know as far as some of these shades go, are they dupes or are they not? You're going to be able to see me throughout this video trying specific shades from each palette on each eye to let you know how they compare. And I also can tell you the Soiree Diaries palette makes a featured appearance in this because some of these shades also really look similar to the Jaclyn Hill palette as well. So it's kind of one of those things where some of you have been saying, I don't have the Jaclyn Hill palette. Do I need the Jaclyn Hill palette since we're getting so many palettes from Boxycharm? I'm gonna help you figure that out today. And also there are some honorable mentions from our dear friends at ColourPop because some of these shades kind of look similar to a few things I have from ColourPop as well. So let's just dive in. If you are new to my channel, I hope you take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button down below to see all of the fun, loud, weird, unique videos I put out every single week. I'm gonna do my best to kind of remember which shades I use, but I'll definitely put them on the screen here. I can tell you right off the bat, the Jaclyn Hill palette is definitely a warmer palette. Even when I was comparing directly with this little baby, I could see a difference in the warmth and some of the formula as well. To start my eye look today, I started with the Soiree Diaries palette. As much as I wanted to start with this little guy over here, it didn't really have any of the neutral shades I generally like to use in my crease first. And that's when I remembered, oh wait, this little baby definitely compares as well. So I started off with the shade Gala in my crease over here, compared that to the shade PUR over here. Again, I could immediately tell, even if in the pan they look pretty similar, the Jaclyn Hill palette was a lot warmer. So I did build up both sides pretty equally, and they were just a base, so I wasn't too concerned about that. They were comparable, but not exact. Then I used the shade Stunner over here with the Soiree Diaries palette, and I compared that to Roxanne from the Jaclyn Hill palette. Those, oh my gosh. They looked so similar. I was really surprised by that. And at this point, there wasn't really any fallout. They were comparing similarly in formula. Then I compared Socialite from this palette and then MFEO from the Jaclyn Hill palette. It wasn't an exact match for sure, but it could work. It was really when I dipped now into the Boxycharm PUR collab for my lid that I started to see a really, really noticeable difference. So I started with the shade Charmer over here in the PUR palette because I've used this before. I really wanted to compare it to a shade I really enjoy in the Jaclyn Hill palette, which is SBN, Smoky But Natural. And I can tell you, in the pan, they look like they could be similar. But when you apply the shades, it's very different. Again, the Jaclyn Hill palette is a warmer palette. Just all of the undertones in general are going to warm up the face, at least with these shades that I used. Now, this one was definitely cooler. Charmer was cooler, and honestly, it didn't apply as well, just like last time. So I used the brush dry, I used the brush wet, I used my finger eventually, and then I finally got it to work a bit better, but I still thought it looked very scaly and a little too reptilian for looks that I like on my eyes. SBN was beautiful. It went on like a dream with a brush, and then I got the brush wet and it did even better. But the best way to apply those shimmers was with the finger. I finally went in on each side and did it with those, and that kind of helped this little guy, but not much. I really think the Jaclyn Hill palette performed so much better with the shimmer shade. So I really wanted to warm up the outer corners of my eyes, so I went into Duet over here and into the shade Central Park with the Jaclyn Hill palette. And the fallout on this was crazy. I really wish I would have powdered under this eye a little bit more because I forgot how much fallout this little sucker has. The Jaclyn Hill palette had zero fallout. is kind of crazy. But the colors did pretty well. I mean, they looked really similar. I do think when I was blending it, since I was blending it on top of other shadows, I really thought the Jaclyn Hill palette did perform better. Could you make it work with this? Yes, you absolutely could. But as far as like if you're a beginner or someone who doesn't have a ton of time in the mornings to do it, I think you'd like the Jaclyn Hill palette better because it was a much smoother process. Then I wanted to go in with a little bit more colors, so I was just kind of adding on at this point just to start comparing things. And ATL was a shade that I really liked and I wanted to use again, but again, I forgot about how crazy the fallout was. And I went into the shade Cran Apple on the Jaclyn Hill palette. Again, it's kind of like the browns. This one had crazy, crazy fallout. This one didn't, but also it was just so much easier to blend and smooth in. Did they look similar? Yes. You can tell today on my eyes. My outer corners look so similar. I don't even know if you could tell on camera that there's two different palettes going on here. But as far as application and ease of use, this little guy did not do as well, unfortunately. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad palette. I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting all over this palette because you can absolutely make it work. But I also know I have a lot of viewers that are kind of beginners or don't have a shit ton of time in the mornings to apply makeup and blend and blend and blend, reapply and blend and blend. So I'm just telling you both sides of the coin, really. I also really, really like these shades in the Boxycharm PUR palette. So I really wanted to see how this would compare to something I already have in my collection. And I couldn't really find much in the Jaclyn Hill palette. There really wasn't anything that was too pinky slash peachy slash coral that was really gonna work. So I went into something else you guys know I love, 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 and that is ColourPop. Last summer, I bought so much ColourPop that I wanted to compare to see how the formula was for that, just for funsies. The palette I have in front of me is the Made You Look palette from Boxycharm, and I loved these last spring and summer, so I really wanted to see how they would compare to these little babies. A shade that I really like in this palette is Nichole. I think it's really, really pretty. It's this one right here, and it's got this like peachy, corally feel to it that is so perfect for spring. So not an exact match, but I went into the shade Issues. I kind of used this to blend out the shades in the upper part of my eye look, and I thought it did really well. Both of these have a little bit of kick up, so it's similar to that, but I felt like this was more pigmented. Like I can definitely see right here at the top of this eye look that peachy pink shade. Over here, even now, it is a bit more cooler, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. It's just cooler. Maybe this is just warmer. But I don't notice it as much to help blend and fade to give that really polished look. It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean I don't like it, but I'm just kind of giving you guys comparisons. At the end of me applying all of these shades, kind of comparing, I will not lie to you, Charmer pissed me off so much. I went back over into the Jaclyn SBN shade, Smoky But Natural, and I took my finger and I applied it again to both sides of my lids because I could not stand having such different toned eye shades on my lid, but also I hated the scaly look that Charmer gave me on my lid. So I just kind of like nixed that one. But I liked how SBN applied over the top of that shit, so there's that. Now I want to do some swatches for you guys, so you guys could kind of see some other shades I maybe didn't get to try, and kind of show you what I mean with swatches with some of the shades I did try. The first swatches I have up here are the two that I was like, wow, in the pan they look similar, but they were for sure not wearing the same. Up here is Charmer, and it is very patchy and very dusty. It's having a hard time showing up on camera. Right here, Smoky But Natural. And you're gonna be like, Nichole, these look nothing alike. Yeah, swatched and on the eyes, they really don't. These look really similar in the pan, but on the skin, not even in a swatch, they don't look the same. And I can tell you on the eyes, they didn't work for me, so that was a big no. I almost forgot, I went into Alliance on this palette and Meeks as well. Let's just swatch and see how they did. Alliance. This is Meeks. Woohoo! Just in swatching these two alone, I mean, you can see the difference on the skin. It's kind of ridiculous. This one definitely has a more golden feel, a lot more shimmery, I suppose. Whereas this one maybe has more of a metallic feel to it, but you saw that swatch. It was like there to play. So Formula difference, for sure. Shades though, you could totally make these look the same. You can. Now, I think a lot of people thought that the pop of blue and the like green blue in the Jaclyn Hill palette would be the same. And I can tell you, looking at them in person, they don't look alike. They both just look like really delicious pops of color. But let's compare them formula-wise, because that could be fun. MIA is the shade everyone was totally raving about. So let's just do a quick little swatcherooski there. That's just one swipe. Now it is kind of chalky. It's very powdery right here. There's a lot of loose pigment right there. So I'm just gonna kind of blend it in a bit. And I'm gonna go down here into Pool Party, which I think is what a lot of people assume it's gonna be like. Let's just see. Really good swatch on the finger. Woo! Actually more comparable than I thought. In the pan they don't look that similar. But again, with the swatches, you can totally tell a difference because this is Pool Party from the Jaclyn Hill palette. Very much there, game to play, ready to go. This is MIA, and it's still beautiful, but definitely less impressive. I'm kind of surprised how similar those look, to be honest. I did not think that they would swatch that similar. In the pans, you can definitely tell MIA is like a beautiful blue, whereas Pool Party over here with the Jaclyn Hill palette has a lot more green to it, so I'm kind of shocked that they swatched that way. Interesting, I'm learning more and more. Let's compare 3 different shades now, just for fun. This is the Soiree Diaries palette, and the shade Glitzy looks very similar to something in the Boxycharm PUR collab and the Jaclyn Hill palette. And I've already touched on these, but I'm curious how the 3 of them wear together. So there's one swatch. Alliance from the Boxycharm palette. Ooh. I told you guys I didn't think that this formula was the same as the other one, and that just proved that wasn't. Now I'm going to go over here into Meeks. Even Meeks didn't perform in my mind as well as Glitzy from the PUR palette. Glitzy from the PUR palette, Alliance from the Boxycharm PUR collab, and this is Meeks from the Jaclyn Hill palette. Out of these 3, damn, this one came to play from the Soiree Diaries palette. You could totally see the consistency. This took nothing to swatch. This one fades out just a bit, but still beautiful. Ooh, I'm a little surprised that didn't do as well from Jaclyn Hill. We are learning things today, guys. This is an experiment with makeup, and I love it. Could I be a doctor in makeup? Is that a thing? Could I study enough and become a doctor? Maybe. Everyone else was really also interested in the Boxycharm shade BFF, which is a beautiful vibrant purple. And there is a purple in the Jaclyn Hill palette, but it's definitely, I think it's Royalty. I don't think they're gonna look the same, but I was shocked before, so let's see if I'm shocked again. This BFF, ooh, that died. Ooh, it keeps dying. Okay, not impressed with that. Come over here to Royalty. I feel like this is going to be more of a purple. Yeah, definitely more of a purple, and the consistency totally different. Yeah, that's just a vibrant pink and a vibrant purple, but the formula on that pink kind of sucks a lot. You can make it work. You can make it work. If you love that palette, I totally get it. It's a lot of fun. It is. But the formula isn't standing up in my mind to the original PUR Soiree Diaries palette we got or the Jaclyn Hill palette yet. So let's swatch ATL, which is a beautiful red brick cranberry shade here. Put that right up here. See, look how beautiful that is. I want them all to be like that. I just do. And I'm gonna come over here into Cran Apple, the one that I used on my eyes earlier compared to this, and see how they swatch. So beautiful. This one has more of a gold undertone. This one's just warmer, I think. Look how pretty. And then let's compare, what else we got? Oh, I wanted to compare. Element of Surprise from ColourPop is a palette that I love, and some of you may have and love. If you like spoilers, you already know something might be coming. This is Blank Canvas from ColourPop. Let's just see how that compares. Ooh, it did die there, died on the end, but the shade is more similar to the Jaclyn Hill palette, but it did swatch and then die, whereas these two held strong. The shade Bay here is a really pretty pink shimmer shade, and I'll bet we could compare that to something. So I'm going to go in there. It's really soft. Ooh, that's really pretty for spring. Super pretty. I'm going to compare that to the shade Sissy from the Jaclyn Hill palette, and that looks pretty similar. Let's see. Ooh. Super pretty, super comparable, and I'd say the formulas on those are more similar. This one's a bit of a deeper tone, but those you can make look like dupes. I'm going to swatch Duet over here because Duet had a lot of fallout, and I want to see how it looks on the swatches next to the Jaclyn Hill shade Central Park. This Duet, pretty decent, patchy and kind of fades, but not as bad as some other ones. Now let's compare it to Central Park. Okay, so what I can tell you about this, and I agree from when I applied it to the outer part of my eyes, this is very pigmented and comes to play really quickly, and it was a little too much and it had a lot of fallout. This one is kind of like a butter bronzer. You build that bitch up to what you want. And it kind of depends on what you like with that. Sometimes I just want the shade to show up, then I got a clean fallout. This one had zero fallout, but as you can see, it isn't as strong or pigmented, so you have to build it. Totally personal preference on that. Let's compare the blacks. Even though the black shade in the PUR Boxycharm palette has some shimmer in it, the other one from Jaclyn Hill does not have shimmer, but I still want to try that. I want to see what they look like swatched next to each other. I only applied that a little bit in the corners of my eyes where my lashes meet the inner corner, and I don't notice a difference on the eyes, so let's see. Boxy Black. Let's see how Boxy Black does. I'm like staining my skin here. Let's go down here. Boxy Black. Woo! How you doing? Not mad at that. This is the shade Abyss from the Jaclyn Hill palette. Kind of similar, and again, starts off really strong with the first part of the swatch and then kind of fades to be able to be buildable, I think also like that brown shade earlier, but the shades are really similar, and I do see a bit of shimmer in Boxy Black, but not a ton to be distracting. You could totally see how this one is way more consistent than the Jaclyn Hill one, which is super fascinating. So interesting. Let's compare the shade Twinkle in the Soiree Diaries palette to SBN, because as I'm looking at this looks like it could be a dupe too, so let's look. This is Twinkle from Soiree Diaries. Ooh, a little chunky up here, a little chunky. I'm just gonna blend that out a bit, but pretty good. And now SBN. Oh. Okay, the consistency in the formula in that is so much better. Let me go back over here to Charmer just because I'm an asshole, and I'm gonna show you how this one does. Such a difference in these three. I would say the Twinkle shade in the Soiree Diaries palette is closer to a dupe for the Jaclyn Hill palette shade Smoky But Natural than adding in Charmer at all. I'm just kind of like eliminating Charmer, I think, from my list at the moment because it's so different. I'm gonna look into Cosmo and the Soiree Diaries palette. Cosmo, whoo! Again, a little dusty, a little powdery, but that came to play. And 24/7 in the Jaclyn Hill palette. Okay, more brown. Okay, I wasn't expecting it to be that deep of a brown compared. Totally different shades, but really close in formula and consistency, so that's interesting. Let's see if Epic, which is a nice brown shade, is closer to the shade I used earlier, which is Central Park from the Jaclyn Hill palette. Super similar. Like, look at that. It's like a zebra, but whatever. Like, super duper similar. Okay, I'm thinking that the Soiree Diaries palette might be more of a dupe for the warmer tones for the Jaclyn Hill palette. Some of these, yeah, but the formula just isn't always there. It's not consistent. And that's kind of where my frustration lies with that. Again, not a bad palette. Don't shoot me in the comments. I'm just kind of doing some scientific research for you. All right, I think I've run out of places to swatch that aren't turning red or stained. So I think this was pretty successful. This was actually a lot of fun to do. I've been thinking about doing this since you guys started talking about it in the comments below. I think this really helped me to kind of figure out which shades work best with what and how I like to apply them. I really wish there was something else I could compare these three top shades to up here, and I'm kind of at a loss. Even though my hands and arms are totally stained, I'm gonna go into these top three on a finger each. Oh, I feel like they're so powdery. Okay, take them on a light part of my skin here so we can kind of see them, and I'll do a close-up here in a second. And I'm going to compare them to every pink shade I have in the Jaclyn Hill palette, or pinkish shade, to see if any of them match. I would say Squad and Sissy are kind of similar. You could make those work if you're looking for those pinky shades, but as far as the others go, they're not that close. Tell me what your thoughts are below. Do you, if you do not have the Jaclyn Hill palette, want it now? Or did this make you think, oh, I don't think I need it. I think I have enough in my collection. Tell us below. I hope this helped you. So I'm super curious how you felt about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new to my channel, I hope you take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button down below to see all of the fun, loud, weird, unique videos I put out every single week. Bye, friends.